Welcome to another episode of Muscles and Magic the Gathering. I am Bobby Maximus. I am the Muscles. These cards, something that's been a massive passion of mine for 30 plus years now. I started playing in 1994, Magic the Gathering. Now listen, today's deck, in full disclosure, it's nowhere even near being my most valuable deck. It's not my most collectible deck. It's not my most competitive deck. But it is one of my favorite decks of all time. Let me tell you a story. I'm going to rewind back to 1994. I was the kid that got bullied. I was the kid that got punched in the face every day on the bus. Kids used to draw in my face with marker. People used to literally grab my Magic the Gathering cards and rip them up in front of me. That's who I was before I became a World Masters champion in Jiu-Jitsu, before I fought in the UFC, before I was a great wrestler, before I became the Muscles, if you will. And years later, Wizards hired me to do a content series for Bloomborough. And it literally was one of the greatest moments of my life. I've achieved a lot, but that email that I got from Wizards that I got to work on the Bloomborough set, it meant so much to me, to that 14-year-old that was bullied. That 14-year-old that lived inside me was screaming from the rooftops that day. So this deck, again, not my most valuable, not my most competitive, not my most collectible, but it is, out of my 57 Commander decks right now, this is one of my favorites because of that moment where I got to work on Bloomborough. And so Bello, Bard of the Brambles, one of my favorite commanders ever, because there's genuine, huge sentimental value behind this one. So I really hope you enjoy this episode because it genuinely means a lot to me. Anyway, we built the deck around Bello, Bard of the Brambles, and it was a great build as well because if you follow my series, you know I'm on the quest for 100 unique Commander decks. I want every mechanic, I want every typal group, I want every kinfolk group, I want the sets. Like, I want to have 100 unique Commander decks. And the best part of these 100 decks, they all live and breathe in real time. I don't switch cards between decks unless it's a permanent change. You can come over to my house, and if you want to play, you grab one of those 57 decks, and they are ready to go. So this was a really cool build too, because this is a unique mechanic, and it gave me the opportunity to showcase something a little different. So that was a long intro, but it was important to me, so thank you for bearing with me. And with all that said, let's dial in on Bello, Bard of the Brambles. So during your turn, each non-equipment artifact and non-aura enchantment you control with mana value 4 or greater is a 4/4 elemental creature in addition to its other types. It has indestructible haste. And whenever this creature plays combat, or whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So it's got a really cool mechanic, and it does favor card draw. Card draw advantage is a massive part of being competitive in Commander. I've said that before. I will say it again. So this is Bard of the Brambles. Now, this deck, you can build it a couple of different ways. There's actually 3 specific ways I thought about building it. One is to build it around really cool artifacts. I've seen people do an artifact deck type thing with this. Some people build it around enchantments, and you should take advantage of this ability of Bello, Bard of the Brambles, but it's also a Raccoon. So I took the opportunity to build a hybrid deck. We're going to feature some awesome artifacts I want to feature with some high casting costs. We're going to feature some awesome enchantments with high casting costs. And this is my attempt to build a Raccoon typal, a Raccoon kinfolk type deck. So with that in mind, let's start with creatures. We don't have any planeswalkers. We are going to start with creatures. And the first one up, we have Kodama of the East Tree. Reach, whenever another permanent you control enters, if it wasn't put onto the battlefield with this ability, you may put a permanent card with equal or less a mana value from your hand onto the battlefield. Great card. We have an enchantment creature, the Eidolon of Blossoms. Constellation, whenever Eidolon of Blossoms or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. There's a bunch of enchantments in this deck, so we favor a little bit of card draw. Our first Raccoon, the Junk Blade Bruiser. Trample, whenever you expend 4, Junk Blade Bruiser gets +2/+1 until the end of turn. You expend 4 as you spend your 4th total mana to cast spells during a turn. The Rough Shod Duo. Trample, whenever you expend 4, target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains trample until the end of turn. We have the Bark Knuckle Boxer. Whenever you expend 4, Bark Knuckle Boxer gains indestructible until the end of turn. We have the Nyx-born Behemoth, all right? This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total mana value of non-creature enchantments you control. Trample, you pay 2 mana, 1 being green, sacrifice another enchantment. Nyx-born Behemoth gains indestructible until the end of turn. So like I said at the start of the video, there's a lot of enchantment themes running through this. There's some artifact themes, and of course we have Raccoons, the Raccoon Rallier. A lot of these cards came out in Bloomborough, which was awesome. A lot of Raccoon support came out, allowed me to build this deck. You tap it. Target creature you control gains haste until the end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. The Baker's Bane Duo. When Baker's Bane Duo enters, create a food token. Whenever you expend 4, Baker's Bane Duo gets +1/+1 till the end of turn. The Bramble Guard Veteran. Whenever you expend 4, Raccoons you control get +1/+1 and gain Vigilance until the end of turn. The Teapot Slinger. If you came for Raccoons, you are in the right place. Let me tell you. Whenever you expend 4, Teapot Slinger deals 2 damage to each opponent. The Brazen Collector. First strike. Whenever Brazen Collector attacks, add a mana, red mana, until end of turn. You don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. The Rushed Shield Rampager. Offspring 2, you may pay an additional 2 as you cast a spell. If you do, when this creature enters, create a 1/1 token copy of it. This creature can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Blaster Combat DJ. It's got more than meets the eye. So you may cast this card converted for a mana cost of 1, a red, and a green. Other non-token artifact creatures and vehicles you control have modular 1. They enter the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on them. When they die, you may put their 1/1 counters on target artifact creature. Whenever you put 1 or more 1/1 counters on Blaster, convert it. And what does that convert to? It converts to Blaster Morale Booster. It's got modular 3. And then you can move X 1/1 counters from Blaster onto another target artifact. That artifact gains haste until the end of turn. If Blaster has no 1/1 counters on it, convert it. Activate only as a sorcery. We have the Keen-Eyed Curator. As long as there are 4 or more card types among cards exiled with Keen-Eyed Curator, it gets +4/+4. It has trample. You can exile target card from a graveyard, and it's from any graveyard, so a little bit of graveyard hate in that. We have the Scrap Shooter. Gift a card. You may promise an opponent a gift as you cast a spell. If you do, when it enters, they draw a card. Reach. That means you can block creatures with flying. And when Scrap Shooter enters, if the gift was promised, destroy target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. So a little bit of removal. I like that. The Prosperous Bandit, Offspring 1. And then first strike, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, create that many tapped treasure tokens. The Byway Barter. I promised you Raccoons. You are getting Raccoons. Menace. Whenever you expend 4, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. Mura Trash Tactician. At the beginning, that's a mouthful to say. At the beginning of your first main phase, add a red or a green mana for each Raccoon you can control. So a little bit of mana ramp. Whenever you expend 4, you gain 3 life. When you expend 8, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of the turn, you may play those cards. Oh, this is a monster. Great red card here. Atali Primal Conqueror. When Atali Primal Conqueror enters the battlefield, each player exiles cards from the battlefield. When Atali Primal Conqueror enters the battlefield, each player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of spells from among the non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. And then if you pay a bunch of mana, you transform Atali. You can activate this only as a sorcery. And it is going to turn into the Primal Sickness. Trample. Indestructible. 11/11. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, they get that many poison counters. Awesome card. The Wurmcoil Engine, a big 6/6 artifact, one of my favorite creatures of all time. Classic creature, Death Touch, Lifelink. And when it dies, you create a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Worm artifact creature token with Death Touch, and a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Worm artifact creature token with Lifelink. We have the Elvish Archivist. Whenever 1 or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control, put 2 1/1 counters on Elvish Archivist. This ability triggers only once each turn. And whenever 1 or more enchantments enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Great card for this deck. And then, great mana ramp card. Love this from Lord of the Rings, one of my favorite sets of all time. The Delighted Halfling. You can add a mana or add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a legendary spell, and this spell can't be countered. So, like I said, we have a raccoon theme here. Let's see how many raccoons we have to make sure we cover it off. We have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, we have 6, we have 7, we have 8, we have 9, we have 10, we have 11, we have 12, we have 13, we have 14, and we have Bello, so we have 15 raccoons. That covers it off. I think we can call this a raccoon type of deck, right? I think we did good. If there are any raccoons that you want to add to the list, please put them in the list below. I think I covered off almost all of them. I don't think I'm missing any, but if I am, I would love to hear from you because I will certainly add them. Now, we do have to talk about, I am not done creatures yet. This is a bonus. I categorized my cards. So we also have the Wild Seer, the Scouring Maw. Some of you at home are probably like, Bobby, you missed some essential creatures in this, but I didn't. I got that covered. Trample, enchantment spells you cast from your hand have Cascade. This is a monster card in this deck. I can't believe I almost forgot about those. The Trail Tracker Scout, add 1 mana of any color, and whenever you expend 8, return up to 1 target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. The Wandertail Mentor. So now we're up to 17 raccoons. And we have whenever you expend 4, put a +1/+1 counter on Wandertail Mentor. We have the Fanatic of Ronus. You can add a green mana. It's got Ferocious. You add 4 green mana and activate only if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. And then Eternalize. Pay 4 mana, 2 green. Exile this card from your graveyard. Create a token copy of it, except it's 4/4 black zombie snake druid with no mana cost. Eternalize only as a sorcery. And can't forget about this great card, the Argothonian Enchantress Shroud. And whenever you cast an enchantment spell, draw a card. I can't believe I almost forgot about those, but we do have 2 more raccoons. We are at 17, so disaster averted. We are definitely in the realm of having a full-blown raccoon deck right here. Okay, we talked about Bello's ability, all right? And during your turn, each non-equipment artifact and non-aura enchantment you control with mana 4 or greater is a 4/4 elemental creature. Okay, so we are going to have a bunch of higher casting cost artifacts here. So the first one, we've got Esika's Chariot. When Esika's Chariot enters, create 2/2/2 green cat creature tokens. Whenever Esika's Chariot attacks, create a token that's a copy of target token you control. We have the Thran Dynamo, all right? Normally, I don't use this in a deck because I like cheaper mana ramp stuff, but for Bello Bard of the Brambles, this works really, really well. We have a Coat of Arms, a casting cost of 5, so you can turn it into that 4/4 creature, but it also is a creature anthem for your raccoons. We have one of the greatest artifacts ever created, the Portal to Phyrexia. When Portal to Phyrexia enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It's Phyrexia in addition to its other types. And this deck was really cool because it allowed me to play a lot of these higher casting cost artifacts and enchantments that I want to feature in my collection. All right, a little bit about that. A lot of times when I build my decks, right, these 57 decks, I want to feature cards from all the sets. I want to feature all the cards. Like really, I love all Magic sets, all Magic cards. You know, I use Ether Drift as an example. I know some people didn't like that set. I absolutely loved it. I love everything Magic's ever done, to be real with you. But this allows me to feature a lot of these higher casting cost cards that I don't normally have in my decks. The Banner of Kinship. As this artifact enters, choose a creature type. We're going to choose raccoons. This artifact enters with a fellowship counter on it for each creature you control of the chosen type. And we did say we had 17 raccoons. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1 for each fellowship counter on this artifact. The Obelisk of Erd enters the battlefield. Choose a creature type. Raccoons. Creatures get +2/+2, and it is a bigger casting cost, so it works with Bello. The Vanquisher's Banner. This Vanquisher's Banner enters. Choose a creature type. Again, we're picking raccoons. Creatures you control get +1/+1 of the chosen type. Whenever you cast a creature spell of the chosen type, draw a card. There's going to be a lot of card draw in this. Another one of my favorite cards right here. High casting cost for a lot of my decks, but Bootlegger Stash. Lands you control have create a treasure token. We have the Maskwood Nexus, so this makes everything a raccoon, even though we already have 17 raccoons. We have the Nautiloid Ship from Baldur's Gate, super underrated card. Nautiloid Ship enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard. Whenever Nautiloid Ship deals combat damage to a player, you may put a creature card exiled with Nautiloid Ship onto the battlefield under your control. Of course, we have a Soul Ring. Of course, we have an Arcane Signet. We have the Hedron Archive, all right? It costs 4. You can add 2 mana, sacrifice Hedron Archive, draw 2 cards. And then we have the Rolling Hamsphere. Rolling Hamsphere gets +1/+1 for each hamster you control. Whenever Rolling Hamsphere attacks, create 3 1/1 red hamster creature tokens. Then it deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of hamsters you control. I just remembered, I really need to put into this deck, I really need to put a mink skin boot. I think that would go really, really well in here. So remind me to get an extra one of those. Those are enchantments, not our enchantments, our artifacts. Now let's talk about enchantments. Primeval Bounty. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 3/3 green beast creature token. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put 3 1/1 counters on target creature you control. And again, that high casting cost works with our guy Bello, the Trash Panda. Almond Path Journey. When Almond Path Journey enters the battlefield, choose your library for up to 5 land cards and have different names, exile and shuffle. At the beginning of your end step, choose a card at random, exiled with Almond Path Journey, put it onto the battlefield tapped. Murders of Karlov Manor makes an appearance. Another great set, Case of the Locked Hothouse. It's an enchantment, it's a case. So you may play an additional land on each of your turns. To solve, you control 7 or more lands. And when it is solved, you may look at the top card of your library anytime and play lands and cast creature spells and enchantment spells from the top of your library. Great for this deck. Greater good. Sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to the sacrifice creature's power, then discard 3 cards, super powerful. Ancestral Mask. All right, it's an aura, so we're not going to get the bump with Bello, but we're going to have a bunch of enchantments on the field. So enchanted creature gets +2/+2 for each other enchantment on the battlefield. Aggravated Assault, great card. Untap all creatures you control. If it's a main phase, there's an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase. Activate only as a sorcery. We have there and back again. One of these sagas, up to 1 target creature can't block for as long as you control there and back again. Tempts you, shoot your library for a mount card, put it on the battlefield, and then create Smog, a legendary 6/6 dragon creature with flying, haste, and when this creature dies, 14 treasure tokens. Look at this beautiful card from Aetherdrift, March of the World Ooze. Creatures you control have base power and toughness 6/6 and are oozes in addition to their other types. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if it's not their turn, you create a 3/3 green elephant creature token monster card in this deck. Bump up those raccoons. Asceticism. Creatures you control can't be the targets of spells or abilities your opponents control, and you can regenerate a target creature. Warstorm Surge. Whenever a creature you control enters, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Gratuitous Violence. I hope you're keeping notes because you're building Bello Bar to the Brambles. I think I covered every good enchantment you can put in this deck. If a creature you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, deals double that damage to a player instead. Berserker's Onslaught. Attacking creatures you control have double strike. Sunbird's Invocation. Whenever you cast a spell from your hand, reveal the top X card of your library where X is that spell's mana value. You may cast a spell with mana value X or less from among cards revealed this way without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Garruk's Uprising. When this enchantment enters, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. Creatures you control have trample. Whenever a creature you control with power 4 or greater enters, draw a card. Unnatural Growth. At the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until the end of turn. You imagine you got all these on the battlefield? It's like double strike, double attack, double trample, double everything city. So those are my enchantments, all right? Now let's go over instants. We have Heroic Intervention. Great instant here. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible till the end of turn. We have Decimate. Destroy target artifact, target creature, target enchantment, and land. We have Cultivate. Beautiful printing of that card. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards, put 1 on the battlefield, 1 in your hand. Rampant Growth. Search your library for a basic land card and put that card onto the battlefield, tap and shuffle. We have Farseek. Might have to replace that one with the Final Fantasy version because I absolutely love it. But search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain card, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. And we have from the Deadpool, Blasphemous Act. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield. Blasphemous Act that deals 13 damage to each creature. So great, great card. You can do that as a sorcery. And that's also really, really cool because all of my creatures, they are going to have indestructible during my turn. So great card. Don't use it in a lot of decks, but it's pretty awesome. We have a bunch of basic lands here. And a lot of times when I do basic lands, I like to put in versions I love the Lord of the Ring ones. So you'll see those in a lot of my decks. A lot of foils, the ones from Kamigawa, which I absolutely love. And we have the non-basic lands. So let's look at what I added here. We have the Oak Hollow Village, all right? And you can add a colorless mana. You can add a green mana, spend this to cast a creature spell. And then you can tap it and put a 1/1 counter on each frog, rabbit, raccoon, or squirrel that you control that enters the battlefield that turn. The Thornspire Verge. We have the Mossfire Valley. We have the Copperline Gorge. We have the Carplusian Forest. We have the Bonder's Enclave, all right? That draw a card, activate only if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. We have a bunch of those. We have the Mines of Moria. We have Abstergo. Actually, let's look at this. The Mines of Moria enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a legendary creature. You can exile 3 cards from your graveyard, create 2 treasure tokens. We have Abstergo Entertainment. This is going to allow us to get a target historic card from our graveyard and exile some graveyards. The Ragging Ravine, the Game Trail, the Sheltered Thicket, the Temple of Abaddon, the Rock Face Village. Now, this works with raccoons. Look at the final ability here. Target lizard, mouse, otter, or raccoon you control gets +1/+0 and gains haste until the end of turn. Activate as a sorcery. We have the Command Tower, the Path of Ancestry. All right, that's going to work with our raccoons. We got the Cinderglade. We have the Rootbound Crag. We have the Mosswort Bridge, and we have the Wooded Foothills. So those are my lands. Now, just a couple of metadata points about this deck and a couple of other things to talk about. And I'm going to put this beautiful Bello bar to the Brambles right there so you can see it. I'm looking on my Mox field now. By the way, there will be in the show notes a link to all the things on my Mox field, all my decks, especially this deck. And I'm actually looking for view options because somehow this changed. Let's go to text. All right, here we go. This deck has 27 creatures. We said 17 raccoons. It's got 5 sorceries. It's got 1 instant, 15 artifacts, and 15 enchantments. I know that is a lot, but this deck does rely on those enchantments, and it allowed me to feature a lot of these higher casting costed enchantments, which I didn't want to put in other decks, all right? And that brings me to my next point. The total mana value of this deck, this hurts me to look at, by the way, is 261. Remember I said this wasn't one of my more competitive decks? I use mana value as a way to gauge competitiveness. The lesser the mana value, the faster your deck's going to work, the quicker it's going to go off. 261 is really high. Normally I like to have my decks under 200, and my best decks, honestly, they're like 160, 161, 165. And what do those things have? A lot of 0-drop artifacts. Those ones have the Mox Opal. They have the Lotus Petal. They have the Jeweled Lotus. They have the Mana Crypt. Yes, I play with the legal cards. They have the Soul Ring. They have the Chrome Mox, all right? I do have a deck with an actual Black Lotus, but the ones that have the real low casting cost are the ones that move, or the real low mana value, lower casting cost, that moves fast and furious. This deck, by comparison, is fairly slow. It's a 261, all right? But it allowed me, again, to feature a bunch of those enchantments that I normally wouldn't put in decks. Something like the Berserker's Onslaught, something like Asceticism, something like March of the World Eagles, something like Primeval Bounty, something like Unnatural Growth. And it actually makes this deck pretty good. By definition, this is a bracket 2 deck. It's one of my only true bracket 2s. We have no illegal cards, and it's worth, it's actually my least value of all the decks I own. It's $342. People often ask, Bobby, you have a massive collection. Why don't you have a Wheel of Fortune in here? Why don't you have a Taiga? Why don't you have a Minkskin Boo, for example? And honestly, I just didn't have the cards. That said, I think I might have an extra Minkskin Boo right now, but you got to understand, I'm building 100 decks. So I run out of cards. I've been collecting for 31 years, but yes, I run out of cards. Think of the big boys, right? Like I only have so many Mox Diamonds. I only have so many Gaia's Cradles. I only have so many Tolarian Academies, which I play with. I only have so many Demonic Tutors. I only have so many Tigers and Dual Lands and things like that. So this is the deck I built with Bello. Like I said, it's not my most valuable deck. It's not my most competitive deck, but man, I got to tell you, it's one of my favorite decks to play with. And this is actually, when I go to the Magic Cons, this is one of the decks I bring. It's Bracket 2. It's a lot of fun. It's got a unique mechanic. And honestly, I'll say low-key, I'm pretty proud of myself for this, because when this gets rolling, especially with all these enchantments and all the card draw I got, this deck's actually, this deck's kind of like low-key. It's kind of a sneak attack. It's kind of a banger. So thank you for spending time with this, really spending time with me today. I can barely talk. This was a really special episode for me because, like I said, I've done a lot of cool stuff in my career. I've had my hand raised in the UFC. I won submission of the night in the UFC. I've won a world championship at Black Belt, Masters Jiu-Jitsu. You know, I've had some big moments written for Men's Health. But honestly, getting that word from Wizards, I was going to get to create content for them officially. Like, you have no idea. Again, 14-year-old kid getting his cards ripped up, man. That made that kid cry. Tears of joy. So thank you for spending some time with me doing this today. This one meant a lot to me. And if you have any improvements for my deck, that's the most important part, right? Because I'm always looking to improve these things. And sometimes I don't have the cards, but sometimes I do. If there's anything you would do to improve this deck, I actually played a game against a girl named Stephanie at MagicCon that had an awesome Bello bar to the Brambles deck, one of the best ones I've ever seen, but I actually took some ideas from it. So if you have any ideas to improve my deck, shout out to Stephanie, please, please, please put them in the comments below. I would absolutely love to hear from you. The best part of this game is community for me and the people I've met along the way. So I love you. I'm grateful for you. Grateful for my channel. Subscribe, turn your notifications on, all that stuff. And just really want to spread the positivity and love that this game has to offer. Thanks for stopping by.